On September 11, 2001, I was actually, had just finished an observation over at Cherry Lane, and I was actually in my car on the way here. I happened to have the radio on when I heard the first plane had hit the World Trade Center. Well, I had signed up through my church. They were looking for volunteers to go in and help. And so I signed up at the church, and I was taken partially due to my background in administration in the school district. So I did a night shift. It was from 7 o'clock at night until 7 in the morning. And so we had to go into the city. We were bused into the city, and we had to go through the, I guess it was the National Guard that had surrounded the whole area, and you had to show your IDs. And we all got through. And when we got to the church, we all had specific jobs. Well, anyway, my job was to listen to people and to just hear their stories and to let them talk. And one of the people that came in was a firefighter, and he actually took me out into the wreckage, and he walked me around the different areas of it, and it was just an amazing sight to see, you know, firsthand the devastation just about a week after it had happened. Another person who came in was a parent looking for any kind of, looking for anything. The parent was distraught. Their child had worked at Cantor Fitzgerald, and even though it was, you know, an older child, I mean, it was somebody who was well into their 20s, almost 30s, but still, doesn't matter. And just was looking for something that would give closure to him. And so I probably shouldn't have done this, but I went out to the backyard of the church area that was next to the devastation, and I actually dug up dirt, and I gave him a cup of dirt because I felt if the symbolism was that if you could have something to take with you where your child had died, then perhaps this would give him some sort of closure. And it did. He was ecstatic to bring something back with him. So those were the two. I mean, I spoke to a whole lot of other people that evening, but those two people in particular were, you know, stood out. And the night went on, and at about 7 o'clock in the morning, they bussed us out. They took us out and came home. And I did it a couple times. And that was the first time, and then another time later on. So that's what I did. There were lots of people, firemen again, and policemen, and different, you know, people working at the site 24/7. And yes, they would come in and they would sleep. There were like benches to the side. There were also other professionals that donated their time, chiropractors, regular doctors, and people would come in frequently to get checked up and to get looked at, you know, and they would keep an eye on the people working there. So yeah, there was lots of activity. The church was very crowded, and there was lots of people coming in and out every night.
Some people in the high school and middle school weren't born when 9/11 occurred. If there was one thing you think they should know, what would you say that it is?
That's a hard question because I think there's a lot of things they should know. You know, I would tell them to visit the 9/11 Museum, is what I'd tell them. Because when you walk through there, I went there last summer, when you walk through there, it really paints a really good picture as to what happened, what went on, and in all different realms, not just at the site itself of the World Trade Center, but also of, what was it, Flight 93, and they actually have the voice boxes that you can hear what the people said to each other on cell phones. And I think that they should see this, because then it would give them a really good idea of what really went on that day. So.
What are your feelings when September 11th rolls around?
Right, well, the first thing I do is I think of that day, and of course it's just like, of course me being older, They also say, where were you on the day JFK was assassinated? Now, I was just a child, but it's interesting you remember that day. It's just one of those things that you remember, and you always think about it every 9/11, and I think about the nights at the church and the wreckage and seeing it firsthand and so on and so forth. So it's just something you just don't ever forget.